Hi. Session 1 is about introduction. Let's have a look on what are the sections we are going to cover in introduction. First section is about ILO statistics. Second one is about reason of managing occupational safety health, responsibilities of employer, why we have to investigate the accident, and what the law says. You have to check what your country law says about accident investigation or reporting. Let's go for first section, which is ILO statistics. You may know about ILO, International Labour Organization. It's a subsidiary of UN, United Nations. Based on their study, they found that 2.3 millions of people die each year, and it may include women and men. And this is happening because of occupational injury or diseases. And if you look at the death because of the fatal accidents or disease, it is 350,000. And 2 million deaths are due to fatal work-related diseases. 313 million workers are involved in non-fatal work occupational accidents. From the statistics, you are coming to know that lots of people are dying around the world, and which is not acceptable. Maybe in your workplace, in your around you, you may not see the people are dying because of work activity. That doesn't mean around the world people are not dying. A lot of people are dying when they are working as a worker or any other labor in the construction or any other industries. What we need to understand from here is, you can see here again, every day approximately 6,400 people are dying, and 860,000 people are injured on job. So this all are the statistics show that lots of people are suffering pain from the accidents. Let's have a look on what financial problem is going to face by your country. This is about the world GDP, gross domestic product. This 4% of world GDP per year is has been lost. So this is a huge amount, 2.8 trillion US dollar. This is the total cost of amount due to accident and diseases in the workplace. So here we can see fatal occupational accidents 14%. So this again ILO statistics from the fatal accidents, and this is 2008. And the blue color here, it represent the fatal work related diseases. It's 86%. You know what is disease and what is accident. So accidents, it is because of any external factors. It may lead to accident. It may of course lead to injury. And the disease is something like a disorder or of a structure or function in human, an animal, or plant. Even plant also we can say disease may happen, especially one that produce a specific symptom or that affect specific location and is not simply direct result from physical injury. So we can see another statistics here. Lots of matters they added here: tumor 3%, skin disease 3%, and respiratory diseases 9%, and all. So let's have a look what is the reason we should manage the occupational safety in the workplace. Why I show the statistic, this is clearly related to the reason of managing safety. So the accident should not happen in your workplace, and disease also should not happen to the people who are working for us. And this is the aim of safety. And let's see why we should manage, or reason of manage occupational safety health. There are three reasons of managing health and safety. One is moral, and second one is legal, and third one is financial. What is moral? Somebody is working for me or under me or for my company, and this is not at all acceptable that somebody get injured because of my activity or my work. Of course we are paying for them, and ethically it is not acceptable somebody get injured or died when they are working for my company. So let's for example, when any person are coming to your home to do any small activities or small work job, they got injury in your home, at least we will look at them, or we will treat them, we will send to hospital, right? So it's called humanity or humanitarian basis we are taking care of it. For another example I can say, somebody's fall down in front of you, at least we will help them. Somebody is working for us, if you are owner of a company, if you are working in a company, it's their responsibility or employer responsibility to take care of their employees, and it's a moral reason of managing health and safety in the workplace. Next reason is legal. The company have lots of responsibility. The next slide we are talking about organizations' responsibilities, and when they are not following their responsibility, the company have to face legal issues. Like every country having the courts, criminal courts and civil courts, and they may face legally when you are in trouble. I mean, any accident happening in the workplace, the police may came there and start investigation, and of course they will ask for the supervisor and the safety officer. Sometimes they will put in jail the key person. So for example, some countries are there, they will catch safety officers directly, or some countries are there, they will catch supervisors and directly they will put inside the jail, and it will be imprisonment for 3 days. Some people will suffer the travel ban for 5 years, 3 years, and 7 years. These are the legal problems, and the company don't want, or any employer don't want this legal kind of stuffs or kind of problems to their workers, and which may delay the production of and profit of the company. And legal problems you are going to face when you are violating the law, and even it is a criminal law or civil law. The company don't want that headache. Company or employer how to follow the laws, and when they are not following the laws, they are going to face legal problems. It may be imprisonment, it may be a penalty, it may be fine, and it may be an individual fine, it may be stopping of your job. It may be a closure of your company. There are lots of consequences when you are violating the law from the legal system. Next, third reason of managing occupational safety is financial reason. Any accident happen, there may be a loss. Not maybe a loss, of course there will be a loss. Or injury, because of injury you're not able to come to site or come to workplace, and it's a loss to the company. And one vehicle catch fire, so the vehicle cost was around $5,000, and the vehicle full got fire, and we can say $5,000 loss happened. So financially it is a loss. And we can say another way, like a direct loss and indirect loss. Direct loss means we can easily measure it. Indirect loss means we cannot easily measure. There will be insured costs which we can insure something from from the insurance companies. Something is there we cannot insure. Anyway, these all are the losses. The company or the organization or the employer don't want any loss. These are the three reasons why we should manage safely. The accidents will cause losses to the company. That means a financial issue, and legal problem also the employer is going to face, and moral reasons. These are the main three reasons of managing health and safety in the workplace. So let's have a look for what are the responsibilities of employer. So here, the responsibility of a company. These are the simple responsibilities. You can see here, provide safe workplace. The workplace we are providing to the workers should be safe, and the room where I'm sitting should be air conditioned, and there should be a proper access, and the equipment which is provided should be safe, and provide PPEs free of cost. This is also a responsibility of the company. You may know about that. And provide instruction, information, training, and supervision. This is also the responsibility of the company. And provide competent person. You may know what is competent person. The person who have experience, the person who has skill, knowledge, qualification, and he's trained. So this is a company responsibility to provide this all thing in the workplace. The accident happened because of any of breach from their responsibilities, and the accidents happen due to this, and the organization may face the actions from the legal system. These are the basic responsibilities of employer. Let's see why we should investigate. Identify failure in the risk control measures. We are going to learn about risk control measures, and it's kind of a wall which will protect you from the hazards. And the accident happened because some of that wall broken. We need to construct that wall again. So that wall is called control measures. And the legal reasons, the law says that we have to investigate. And coming slide, I will show you one of the law. They say that we have to investigate and record whatever findings you have. Gain knowledge. So when you do the investigation, your knowledge of investigation will improve, because each and every day it's not like a routine job. You are doing the investigation, and your knowledge will improve when you do the investigation. And for the insurance purpose, because you need to start the investigation, and when you submit the investigation report to the investigation agency or investigation company, then only they will start the insurance procedures. The investigation report must submit to insurance companies, and this is also another reason. And determine the cost. Of course, we find a cost, how much loss happened because of these accidents. We need to know what is the total amount lost to the company, so that we learn a lesson. We need to stop the accident happening again, and the cost is very important. And we must know what loss happened to the company. If you do the investigation, what is the key benefits of investigation? Making a safer work environment, improving worker morale, preventing further business losses from disruption, downtime, and lost business, developing useful skills and knowledge that can be applied throughout the organization. How the accident investigation will help you to make your workplace safer. The main aim of the accident investigation to prevent the recurrence of the accidents. If you are doing a quality incident investigation or accident investigation, there is a lesser chance of accidents happen again in future. Second one is improving worker morale. So when we do the accident investigation, the people confidence level will improve. How? If 10 people are working together and one of the person injured, and if company is not doing the accident investigation, the other people confidence level will go down because of fear, and they will think that tomorrow it may happen to me also, because the company is not doing anything. If you do the investigation, we are communicating to all people that the purpose of the accident investigation is to stop accident again in future, or stop similar accident again in future. So in this way, we can improve the morale or confidence level of the people in the workplace. Prevent business losses. The same thing. If there is no accident, there is no business disruptions in the future. And when you do the investigation, your skill and your knowledge is improving in how to investigate the accident. Go to next slide, what the law says. In Kuwait, there is a website called ILO's website. In that website, it is mentioned that what the accident investigation and record keeping we should do, and in case of accident, what we should do and where we need to report. So there is an article of Kuwait labor law. Every employer shall keep occupational safety records according to the forms, rules, and regulations regarding which a decision shall be sued by the minister. We have to make a record of that and keep the accident investigation or report record in your office records. So let's see. It's 10th one, recording notification and reporting of the accident. It's employer duty. It's a company duty to notify OHS authority. So who are the OHS authority here? Police station, labor department under who is jurisdiction, and public health institution. There we need to report in Kuwait. This is applicable in Kuwait. So you have to check what your country's law says about this. So the police station, the labor department, and the insurance companies, these are the three areas we have to report in case or notify in case of any accidents or major accident or injury happen. So we completed the first session of our training. Now we'll go for the final session, which is quiz for the first session of our training. Please check you can remember the all points or not. If you are not remembering it, please go back and check the video again and check the materials again. And we'll go to the second session, which is definition. Around you, lots of hazards are there. We can say hazards as an unsafe act or unsafe condition. Both together we can say hazard, and both are hazards. And we can see three pictures here. One is a drilling, pedestal drill, and another one is a pit, open pit. Another one is a hot fluid in a cup or a jar. So these are three different examples of hazard. What will happen here if you touch this drill bit when it is operating? It will cause you harm, right? So the definition says that anything means it may be a pedestal drill, it may be a pot, hot pot, it may be an unprotected open pit, which will lead to harm to the person, to the environment, or to the property. When you touch directly to the hazard, which will lead to accident. Hazard, again I'm repeating, hazard means anything that has potential to cause harm. Hazard will not do anything for you until you touch the hazard. This the safety professionals too should understand. So because it's purely related to accident investigation or accident. Let's see, we can see here the person who is drilling, and he on the top side there is no guard, and the machine is rotating. The drive and motor is rotating, it's naked or unguarded, and the person long hair was there. When his hair come in contact with the rotating part of the machine, it caused entanglement. This is a hazard. Now let's go to risk. What is risk? Risk is a likelihood of accident, and if accident happen, what is the consequence? So this is a combination. Let's see, we just multiply together likelihood and consequence. We can see here risk is equal to likelihood into consequence. So when we multiply the chance of accident and the consequence if the accident happens. So if the accident happens, what is the outcome of that accident? So that is called risk. When we combine with the likelihood and consequence, we'll get the risk. So risk we can measure by low, medium or high. Let's see the example. The previous slide we saw one pit here. The same pit is here in front of a shop, and the same pit is there in backside of your office. Here we can see when we compare it to the likelihood, if the pit is in front of the shop or a busy road, the chance of accident or likelihood or probability of accident is very high, and that only it's showing here, it's very high here, and the chance of accident is very low here where the people are not going. Now we got the chance here, and now we'll go to consequence. The consequence means a lower consequence and higher consequence. Let's say the person falls through this pit and he fell down, when he damaged the product which he was carrying, and it's a lower consequence. And the same person was carrying the box through this pit and he fell down and he got an injury on his leg, that is a higher consequence. So let's go to incident. The incident is adverse event that has caused or could have caused damage, death, injury or ill health. We can see here two things they are saying here. That has caused means it's an accident, the injury happened, and here they are saying could have caused, there may be a chance of cause, there was a potential of cause harm, and this is called incident. That means accident and near miss. So could have caused means there was a potential to do so, but it doesn't do. If there is a near miss, we can say incident. If there is an accident, again we can say it's an incident. So both are incidents. Next we'll go to accidents. So let's see the picture here. There was a result of harm or property damage. It may be a property damage. Here we can see this guy, a mobile has been damaged and he got personal injury. This loss has been happened. So this is called accident. Injury happened or loss happened. Anyway, the property damage or injury happened. This is called accident. And when we go to near miss means it was a potential only. The near miss can be described as an incident that results in no injury damage. So there was no injury or damage, but was potential to do so. You can see here the bricks falling down, not on the person. The person just escaped because he was lucky. And we can see here the near miss. He was about to fall. There was no property damage. There was no injury. This is called near miss. So next we'll go to accident investigation. Where we are investigation, when we can say this is an accident investigation or incident investigation. When we go back the near miss and accident, we should give the same level of seriousness or priority for accident and near miss, because if the near miss happened today and if you're not investigating it and you did not find the causes of the near miss, tomorrow the near miss is going to repeat again. So it's very, very important to investigate the near miss as a same level of investigation of accident. This pyramid shows where we are doing the accident investigation, where we are doing the investigations. Let's see the fatality, serious injury, damage, minor injury, near misses, hazard. Near miss, all from here, near miss and accident all together, we studied that this is called incident, and the accident means only the injury happened, only the damage happened, then only we can say it's an accident. After the accident, the outcome was the injury or the damage of property, we are investigating it. That is called accident investigation. And when we are doing the investigation for the near miss or the damage, injury, incident, we can say incident investigation. To identify the hazards in the workplace, we are doing the inspections, hazard reporting and all. Next, we will go for dangerous occurrence. One of a number of specific reportable adverse events that is called dangerous occurrence. So here we can see here list of dangerous occurrence by Redor. If you click here, we'll get a list of dangerous occurrences in the website. We need to report to the external authority. So we can see here the link, which is to legislation.go.uk. Schedule dangerous occurrence part 2. And here we can see that what are the dangerous occurrence, like lifting equipments, the collapse, overturning or failure of any load bearing part of any lifting equipment other than the accessory of lifting, pressure system, the failure of the system. You can see here any of these incidents, there is no injury happen and only property damage happen. You can see this is a dangerous occurrence, explosive, fire explosion or biological agent, radiation, breathing apparatus and driving operation, collapse of the scaffolding, train collision and wells and pipeline or pipeline works, dangerous occurrence reportable except in relationship. So this all details are there in the website. We can see here legislation.government and just search or I will put the link in the description and you can go through the link and see what are the dangerous occurrence in the workplace. So let's go to the next slide, which is day lost. Day lost means the total number of days away from the work due to an injury except the day of injury. So this I took from the Labour Force Survey, Office of National Statistics, number of working days lost due to sickness absence from 1993 to 2013, and the top reason of the sickness absence in 2013 in UK. This is the statistics from Labour Force Survey, Office for the National Statistics, and we are not counting the injury date, but we will count the days he is absent away from the work. So this is called day lost. And we can see here lots of people are not as 178 million days lost in 1993 and going down 2013 it's 131 million days loss happened. 4.4 day per worker. Every worker they are not able to come to work. So next is about the first aid case. The first aid case, about any injury happen, we are treating them by paramedic or first aider. So injury which required only immediate treatment, action or care given to the person suffering from the injury or illness. So and it's not an LTI, it's only a first aid case. Next, lost time injury or LTI. LTI is a work-related recordable injury or illness where the person away from the work as a result of recordable injury or illness. OSHA says that the recordable incident in which the employee is not able to return to work and assigned restricted work on the day or shift following an incident. So after the incident, couldn't able to come back to work and he lost his shift or a day. That's called LTI. There's a formula for finding out the incident rate. As we discussed here, the lost time injury, the LTI, we can put this value here in this formula, number of injury or illness. Here we'll put the LTI. So LTI will come here. If you have one employee got fracture and he couldn't able to come back to work in one day, and it's one LTI, and we'll put as 1 here into multiply into 2 lakh divided by employees hours work. So this is the total number of employee worked hours in the workplace, and this is also from OSHA. And I will show you one calculation how we can do this as a sample for your information, and I will attach a file which will help you to understand how to calculate the incident rate, and there'll be a PDF file, you can download it in this session. We'll go to next slide, which is medical treatment case, MTC. So this means a doctor or a physician or a medical practitioner, but it is not an LTI. He will not lose any day, there will not be a loss of day, and he will come back to the work. And there's a question, is it recordable or reportable? Actually, this is not a reportable one, it's a recordable. We have to record it, but no need to report to the external authority. The thing is, the medical practitioner or doctor will say that he's okay, he can do any other work, but he cannot do the same work, or he can take the rest. So that kind of treatment, the injury that could be considered as being one that would normally be treated by a medical practitioner, but does not result in a loss of full day or shift. So this is called medical treatment cases. Risk control measures, which is very important for you, because the accident or incident happened because one of the hierarchy of control has been failed, or one of the control has been failed. So let's see what are the risk control measures. This kind of a wall, as we discussed before, and the first wall we can say this is called elimination and substitution and engineering control, administrative control, and PPE. We can see here the elimination, the biggest effectiveness, which the arrow mark is bigger here, which shows that the effectiveness of this control is very high, but the elimination we cannot apply all places, and elimination may be more expensive. We cannot able to add as a control measure in every place, but elimination is the best one. And the next one is substitution and engineering control, administrative control. So PPE is the least control measure. It will have a lesser effectiveness in the. So we'll go one by one. What is elimination? Let's see what's elimination. So for example, this guy is lifting something from the ground. It's a gravel. What will happen to him? He will face a back injury, right? So if he's lifting, it's a heavy and it may cause back injury. To eliminate this hazard, what we can do, instead of lifting directly by the person directly, we'll just insert a machine, a boom, which will lift the gravel. And here what will happen? Eliminated. The hazard was he was lifting physically by his bodily force, and he's touching the gravel and he's lifting the gravel bags, and which will lead to back injury. And now it's fully eliminated by a boom truck. So this is the best example of elimination. So let's go for substitution. Substitution means we are reducing the hazard. Instead of one hazard, we are using the another hazard. Both are hazardous, but the level is different. So one we are using the higher hazards, and now we are using the lesser. Let's see the example. He's carrying a heavy box. Now the problem again, he having the back injury, and he's lifting a box with his bodily force. It's a manual handling, and it may cause a back injury. And what we can do for this, reduce it. I mean, if you reduce the paper weight and weight of the paper, and which will help him to prevent the accident, prevent the injury of back. So if you reduce it by half, or if I am using the another person to help him to lift this box, we can say it's a substitution or reducing the risk. And we'll go for the next one is engineering control. Engineering control means it's a separation. The person is physically separating from the hazard. So hazard is in one place, and we are separating the hazard from you. This is the symbol shows that it's a flammable material, and we are keeping this flammable material away from the storage room. We can see inside the storage or warehouse there are lots of expensive items may be there. So we are making a separate room for the explosive material or flammable material, which will ruin all the warehouse. So the problem makers, we are separating them physically, and separating is called engineering control. Any physical separation, we can say engineering control. A criminal who done a crime, he is behind the jail. It's again a physical separation or separating. Physically we are separating the hazard from you. That's called engineering control. Next example of engineering control, we can see here the machine. The person is standing nearby the machine, and if you put his hand inside this machine, it will cause injury. And they put a net here, a physical separation, and this is called again engineering control. Next is administrative control. Administrative control means it's kind of paperwork or documentation, displaying posters, and allowed time I'm reducing. So if I'm sitting in front of computer for a long time of hours, and it is not good for me, and it may be an ergonomic issue, and it may be a back problem, it may be a strain for my eyes, so I have to take a break in between. So this is controlled by administration. So these controls are called administrative control. I'm controlling one hazard by displaying poster. So I'm showing that no smoking here, and I'm sticking a sticker on a flammable material that it's a flammable material. So it's a kind of a communication and information, giving the information, training, supervision, instruction. This is all coming under administrative control. We can see here some of the signs which will show you the hazards, and some of the signs which will tell you warning, or it will say you that it is very mandatory to wear the PPEs. And some of the hazard signs, we can see the electrical hazard, and there's a dog symbol here, and there's an entanglement, entrapment hazard, hot surface hazard. So these all are the hazards and prohibition and mandatory signs which will show you that which they are communicating you that there's a hazard, presence of hazard. So this is kind of administrative control. Another example, a safe system of work, where how we can do the work safely, how we should not do, what are the things we should avoid when we are doing when in the picture we can see some drilling machine which shows that what are the right thing we have to do, what are the wrong thing we should not do. And safe procedure is again administrative control. The last session of control measure, last resort of hierarchy of control is PPE or personal protective equipment. Why we are saying it's a last resort? Because it's entirely reliant on each employees remembering to wear it. So this purely depends upon the behavior of the people. So if you are training your people, and if you're training or teaching your people, giving the instruction to the people, you are displaying poster to wear the PPEs, even all the effort you have done, the people may not wear it because they are not purely understand what is the usage of the PPE. So it's purely dependent on the people behavior or our behavior. So this is, we cannot trust fully, and that's why we can say it's a last resort, or we can say it's very weak or less effective control measures of hierarchy of control. So these are the 5 hierarchy of controls. We'll go from the beginning. First was elimination, second substitution, third was engineering control, then administrative control, and the 5th one was PPE. Now I'll go for immediate cause of the accident. So here we can see the picture. Actually, the picture not showing what is immediate cause, but this picture actually this is not a real picture. It's only a makeup. Don't worry about that, because some people have the fainting issues. Or why I'm showing this picture, because immediate cause of the accident, because there was an energy transfer to this skin. That's why the injury happened. So the energy is here when the wheel was rotating. It was an energy. With this energy, which when we come in contact with this energy, the transfer of energy will happen to your face or your body part, which will lead to immediate cause. When we do the accident investigation, we must understand what is the immediate cause, underlying cause, and root cause. The immediate cause means how the energy transfer to your body, which will lead to injury. So here the energy is the rotating wheel, which will lead to transfer of energy when we touch physically to that rotating wheel. There are lots of energy. We are going to study kinds of energy which may transfer to your body. So next we'll go to underlying cause. Underlying cause is unsafe act or unsafe condition which will lead to underlying causes. This means this again the picture which caused an accident. There was a rotating sprocket and the chain. There was a lady who was standing, or Jen, it may be a Jen with the long hair standing nearby, and the hair was entangled in between the chain and sprocket. So the unsafe act here, the person with the long hair standing nearby to this machine, and the unsafe condition was open unguarded chain. This both come together and which will lead to underlying cause. So this is called underlying causes. Again, one more example for the underlying cause. It is again an unsafe condition, and when we touch with the naked hand on this unsafe condition, which will lead to electrical shock. Next cause is root cause. Root cause actually ultimate failing from which all of the other fail. So this all are the main causes which will lead to the underlying cause and immediate cause. Actually, this is purely connected to a management problem or organizational problem. So management failings, organizational failings, and lack of proper training, no risk assessment, lack of supervision. These all are the examples of root causes and be purely related to organizational factor or management failure. And after the investigation, we should identify the root causes. We need to identify the immediate causes and underlying causes. Then only the investigation will fulfill. And not only the identification of causes, we just identify the causes, but we did not do any corrective action. It may be failure in the accident investigation. So what is unsafe act? Unsafe act may be deliberate or unintentional one. It may be an error. It may be a violation. But there we are going to go deeper here. The picture we can see the deliberate violation. He knows very well that he is doing the wrong thing, and the passive one is unintentional one, which is error. He was unaware about the oil on the floor and he slipped, and this is called error. And he is operating the wrong switch instead of a right switch. It is again a error. So the active and passive unsafe act will be there. So unsafe conditions, so we can say a work equipment, a work environment, workplace, which will lead to physical condition, and this way is called unsafe condition. It may be because of workplace, it may be because of work equipment or poor work equipment. It may be because of poor working environment. It may be too hot, too noisy and slippery. This all which will lead to a physical condition is called unsafe condition. So we can see here the example of working environment where the person too much noise there, he cannot able to listen the emergency alarms and all. Poor work equipment where there is no guard in the equipments, and here poor workplace, there is a workplace with a poor housekeeping, we can say it's a poor workplace. So with this we are finishing the second session, the definitions, and let's go for session quiz. And please look at these questions and pause this video and check whether you can remember all this point which we discussed here. And this all questions, please check your understanding, and if you have any doubts, please go back to the video. And the next session is about accident theories. Around 5 theories are there we have to cover in the accident theories. If you have any doubts, please email me or a message through WhatsApp, so I will reply you as soon as possible. So thank you. Minor injuries or first aid cases. So every 10 minor injuries or first aid cases, there were one serious disabling injury. From his report, he discovered this pyramid. The next is single cause domino theory. So in this case, there will be only a single cause. If any injury happened, this is a cause of injury, the accident. So for that accident, what is the cause? Is unsafe act or condition. What is the reason of this event? Fault of person. So what is leads to fault of person? Ancestry and social environment. So usually simple accidents have a single cause, which is why such events so frequently occur, but the consequences tend to be of a major nature. This analogy is made with a row of dominoes placed on each, such that if one fails, it will cause the next to fall, and so on throughout the series. If one of the domino is removed, then the chain of event will be halted. The same way, if any element in the accident sequence is interrupted, then the injury is prevented. See further about each dominoes, what they are saying. Ancestry and social environment. Recklessness means lack of regards of danger or consequence of one's action. You know what is the meaning of stubborn? Stubbornness, not change of one's attitudes. Greed. Greed means intense and selfish desire for something. Other undesired traits of character that may be passed along through inheritance, because from the last generation you are inherited that characters. Environment may also lead to undesirable traits or character, or may interfere with education. All this environment may cause the person fault or human error. Fault of person leads to unsafe act or mechanical or physical hazards, and this will lead to accidents, and the accidents will lead to injury. And this is Heinrich accident sequence. When we go to 80-20 rule, 80% of accidents were triggered by unsafe act and 20% being caused by unsafe conditions. So this theory, they are not mentioning the management problem. So they are purely blaming the people, 80% of the accident happening because of the human error. So neutralizing any of these first 4 dominoes would prevent the 5th injury. And Heinrich concluded that the key dominoes was that pertaining to unsafe act. In 1976, Bird and Loftus, they adapted Heinrich domino theory, and they included the influence of management in accident causation process. The poor management control creates either poor personal factors, for example, lack of appropriate training, or poor job factors, example, unguarded machinery. In combination of these 2 factors, that means the poor job factor or poor personal factor, which leads to either unsafe act or unsafe condition. So let's see again the detail about the Bird and Loftus theory. The lack of control by management, which include the inadequate program, standards, inadequate non-compliance to standards. So here, inadequate program, which will lead to personal factor, which is a basic cause. Immediate cause will be the substandard act. The incident will be contact with energy or substance. When the people contact with energy, it will lead to loss of people, property, or process. So non-compliance to standards, which will lead to job factor. This will lead to the immediate cause, which is called substandard condition or unsafe condition, which will lead to again release of energy towards people, which will lead to people loss, property loss, or process damage. Next is Reason's accident causation. It's also known as Swiss cheese model. In this theory, they shifted the main focus of accidents away from unsafe act and more onto the organization or management system. Let's see. This is a Swiss cheese model, and there are layers. We can see here the layers. Some halls due to active failures. So we can see the halls here, and some halls due to latent condition. We are going to learn about latent and active failures. And this is a hazard, this is a loss. Suppose the person is standing here, here is the hazard, these are the walls, and when any unsafe action or unsafe conditions remain, and all halls came together, which leads to hazard attack to the person, which cause accidents. And this is called Reason's Swiss cheese model. So these halls to be opportunities for a process to fail, and each of the slices are defensive layers in the process. An error may allow a problem to pass through a hall in one layer, but in the next layer, the halls are in different places, and the problem should be caught. Each layer is a defense against potential error impacting the outcome. For a catastrophic error to occur, the hall need to align for each step in the process, allowing all defenses to be defeated and resulting in an error. If the layers are set up with all the halls line up, then the inherently flawed system that will allow a problem. In Swiss cheese model, they considers organizational problems, local management problems, unsafe acts, safeguards, human errors can occur in each layer represented by the halls. As the halls line up, the opportunity of incidents occur. So let's see the multiple causation theory. So the injury or damage or near miss happened here, and the accident happened. So the accident happened because of that injury or damage happened. So the accidents happen because of the unsafe act, or it may be because of unsafe condition. And these are the different cause for the unsafe condition or unsafe act. And again, sub causes will be there for each causes. So let's see in an example of an fire or explosion or death or property damage. So how did death happen? It happened because of methane explosion. What was the reason of methane explosion? And this was an accident which leads to losses. Let's see, the smoking was one of the unsafe act, and methane between 5% to 15% oxygen, and oxygen was the unsafe condition which will lead to methane explosion. So this was a combination. Here the unsafe act also was there, and here was the unsafe condition also occurred. And what was the reason of smoking? No sign. There may be no sign of no smoking. He was not aware about no smoking, and there was no policy. We can write many points after investigating the accident. And why the methane between 5% to 15%? The reason was leakage, no ventilation, atmospheric oxygen. And again, the sub causes. No supervision, because of that's why the no signs, no training, that's why he's not aware. Sub causes, again, no inspection, that's why it's leaked. No inspection, that's why no ventilation. So this is multiple causation theory. So when it is like a major accident, there'll be multiple causes and multiple root causes. So we have to take care about all causes. We have to deal with all causes. Let's see cause effect concept. You can see the effect is here and causes are there. We are considering these factors when we are considering the causes. Effect will be one, which we can say the losses or accident, injury, anything. When we are using this concept, we have to consider some factors like material, environment, personnel, management, and task. What are the things we should consider in task? Let's go to task, material, work environment, personnel, and management. So let's see what are the things we should consider in task. In task, was a safe work procedure used? Had condition changed to make the normal procedure unsafe? Were the appropriate tools and materials available? Were they used? Were safety device working properly? Was lockout used when necessary? So these all questions we should ask when we're considering the factor of task. And this is kind of question. So it's like a brainstorming. We have to make a meeting and ask the question to each member so that we'll get more answers for under this task. So we can use this concept we can use when we are investigating the accident. This actually we can apply for the major accident or multiple root cause accidents. So in this case, we can use this concept. And when we consider the material, let's see some of the questions here. Was there any equipment failure? What caused to the failure? Was the machinery properly designed? Hazardous product involved? Were they clearly identified? Which was hazardous products? Less hazardous alternative products possible and available or not? Raw material substandards in some way? PPEs have been used. They used PPE or not used. So they're asking here, should PPE is required or not? Were the user of PPE properly educated and trained? So these are the things we should consider when we are considering the factor material. Let's go for work environment. These are the questions we should ask for the work environment, where the weather condition, housekeeping, hot or cold, noise, adequate lighting, hazardous gases, dust, fumes, and the management. When we ask considering the management factor, we should ask these questions. Safety tools was there, procedure was there, written procedure was there, and safe work procedure being enforced. Supervision was there or not? We have conducted any training to the people or not? The hazard and risk has been previously identified or not? Procedure has been developed to eliminate the hazard or not? Unsafe conditions corrected that has been previously found? Maintenance of equipment carried out or not? Regular safety inspection carried out or not? Conditions or concern being reported beforehand? Action taken. So these questions we should ask when we considering management factor. These are the factors we should consider when we investigating the accident in cause effect concept. So let's see, we divided this into different branch, and we can say this. There is another name also for this concept, a fishbone concept, and we just divided this into branches. Like we can see here, the work environment, flammable, heat, experience, tired, and the management, inspections, SOPs. These are the answers we'll get when we brainstorm with the people. And the quiz. So what you understood from the accident pyramid? What is the domino theory? Benefit of multiple causation theory? What are the factors to consider in causes section of cause and effect concept? So please go back. If you have any doubt, please come back to me, email me, WhatsApp me. I will surely help you as soon as possible. With this, we are going to end session 3. And next session is human failure. Here we are going to learn about unintentional behavior, intentional behavior, factors affecting human behavior. Thank you for watching. See you in the session 4, human failure. Bye. Hi, welcome back. Welcome to session 4, human failure. In this session, we are going to cover 3 important parts. One is human error, human violations, factors affecting human behaviors. This session is covered by Health Safety Guidance 48 from Health Safety Executive UK. They estimated that up to 80% of accidents may officially contributed by, at least in part, to the action or omission of people. That means people failure or human failure is the main cause of accidents based on study they have done in HSE UK. The human failure, they are categorized into human errors and human violations. Let's go to brief on human failures. You can see here, human failure is divided into human errors and human violations. And again, the human error is divided into 2, skill-based error and mistakes. And the skill-based error is again divided into 2, slip of action, lapse of memory. Mistakes again divided into 2, rule-based mistakes and knowledge-based mistakes. Violations, they divided into 3, routine violation, situational violations, and exceptional violations. So let's start with human failure. Initially, we will go to errors. Once we finish the error, we'll go back to violations. Human error is an action or decision which was not intended. So this is not intended, and it was an action or decision by human which involved a deviation from an accepted standard and which led to an undesirable outcome. Undesirable outcome means it's an accident or it may be a near miss. Human error is again categorized by slips, lapses, and mistakes. So we'll go one by one with examples and case studies. So start with slips. Slips, the action did not go as planned. This is called slips. Slips happen when a person is carrying out familiar task automatically without thinking and the person's action is not as planned. Example, operating a wrong switch on control panel. In this control panel, the operator used a wrong switch and the accident happened. Omitted a step or series of steps from task. She may forget to engage parking brake and we can say she omitted a step. Carrying out action with too much or too little strength. This is an example. We can see the nut. Somebody applied too much strength so that over torquing of a bolt damaged the bolt, performing the action in the wrong direction. For example, tuning a control knob to the right rather than left, or moving a switch up rather than down. Next, doing the right thing but on the wrong object. Switching the wrong switch. This was the correct switch, but he operated with this switch. Carrying out the wrong check but on the right item. For example, checking a dial but for the wrong value. We can see here two values, one for bar, one for PSI. So the blue color represents the bar, PSI is the black color. Person who took the value from the black instead of blue. How we can control this? The slips can be controlled by make everyone aware that slip exists, and this is very important. We need to consider the slip in accident investigation, and we should make aware everyone that the slips exist and to consider in accident investigation. We'll go to one case study. Just read the case study. In this incident, what happened? A chemist added a chemical which lead to an explosion, and they added only 70% of the required base present, and the exothermic reaction started and resulted in explosion. And this was an example of slip. Lapses, the action was not executed. Lapses happen when action is performed out of sequence or steps in a sequence is missed. It may be memory based. Lapses causes for forget to carry out some actions or lose our place in task or even forget what we had intended to do. We can see in this picture one lapses happen. You can see a petrol filling hose. How we can reduce the lapse? It can be reduced by minimizing the distraction and interruptions to task by providing effective reminder, especially for tasks which take some time to complete or involve periods of waiting. A useful reminder could be as simple as a partially completed checklist placed in a clearly visible location for the person doing the task. We may be able to eliminate some of these lapses through better designing of the equipment or task. This incident happened when the driver was forgot to do some of the step. This is an example for the worker distraction. We can say it was a lapse. So he was an experienced road tank driver. He was on phone. After ignoring of some of the 5 minutes, he closed the various valves on the installation vent to answer it. He was an experienced person. He was going to complete the filling of fuel in his vehicle. After ignoring it for some 5 minutes, he closed the various valves on the installation and went to answer it. So he got a call. On returning to the vehicle, he drove away, having forgotten he had not disconnected the tanker hose from the installation. So what happened here? He forgot that important step. Approximately 1 ton of material was lost. Next is mistakes. We do wrong thing believing that it is right. It's called mistake. We are again dividing the mistakes into two, knowledge-based and rule-based. So mistakes are more complex type of human error, where we do the wrong thing believing it's right. The failure involves our mental process which control how we plan, assess information, make intention, and judge consequences. There are two types of mistakes exist, rule-based and knowledge-based. We'll go to rule-based mistake, which means error of judgment. So when a person has a set of rules about what to do in certain situations and applies the wrong rule, for example, 50 km per hour was the speed limit, he used to go 80 km per hour. Another example is a case study. An operator was familiar with his task, and what happened? He expected to fill the procedure to take about 30 minutes. And this time what happened? The diameter of the hose was increased. He forgot about that. He ignored the high level alarm because he sticked on 30 minutes. What happened? Tank overflowed. Because they may not communicated about the changing of diameter of hose. That way it may lead to this incident. Knowledge-based mistakes. This happens when a person is faced with an unfamiliar situation for which he or she has no rules. In this situation, he uses his or her knowledge and works from first principles but comes to a wrong conclusion. For example, when the warning lights come on indicating that cooling system pump is overheating, is there a rule for what to do? If not, do you leave the pump on? You will turn it off or shut the whole unit. What you will do in this situation? This is called knowledge-based mistake. This picture, inexperience and lack of information. He was about to do the cutting of this drum. He had not been told that the drum contained flammable residues, and the drum exploded when heat was applied. So example of failure to communicate. Shift handovers are particularly vulnerable time for the communication failure. So lack of understanding often arising through a failure of communication effectively. We can see this picture that one person was talking about apple, but the other person understood that it's apple, but not the color. One person was thought about the green apple, but it was not communicated properly, and this guy meant that it was a red apple. So let's go to another incident. There was a contamination incident happen. They contaminated the sea because there was no communication between two shifts, and one shift assumed that a particular tank only contained the aqueous layer, but it was accidentally contained the radioactive solids, which contaminated the sea. Next, we'll go to violation, rule-based or rule breaking. So in this case, we can see the example of a deliberate failure. A violation is a deliberate deviation from a rule or procedure. Deliberate failure to follow the rule, cutting corners to save time or effort based on the belief that the rules are too restrictive and not enforced anyway. Deliberate failures to follow the rules, cutting corners to save time or effort based on belief that rules are too restrictive and are not enforced anyway. Example, operating a circular saw bench with ground guard removed. This type of behavior can be foreseen. So we need to predict this kind of behaviors. We finish the error. This whole section we completed. And now we'll go to violations. Violation is a deliberate deviation from the rule or procedures. So most violations are motivated by desire to carry out the job despite the current constraints, goals, and expectations. Very rarely are they willful act of sabotage or vandalism. Violations are again divided into three categories: routine violation, situational violations, and exceptional violations. Routine violation. So when the person breaking the rule or procedure has become a normal way of working within the work group, this can be due to the desire of cut corners to save time and energy. It may be the perception that the rules are too restrictive and they believe that the rules no longer apply. Lack of enforcement of rules from the management. New workers start a job where the routine violations are the norm and not realizing that this is not the correct way of doing. So when the new workers are joining to your company and already the work climate or atmosphere of that area, all people are violating the rules. The new employees also seeing that all are violating. They think that nobody is going to ask and they will continue his bad behavior or unsafe acts. This example of a routine violation, we can understand that it has happened on the morning of 12th December 1988. A crowded passenger train crashed on the rear of another train that had stopped at the signal on Clapham Junction railway station in London, and subsequently sidewiped and empty traveling in the opposite direction. The total 35 people were killed in the collision, and 484 people were injured. This happened because of the poor supervision and problem with the training and testing, meant that this situation was allowed to continue. And this is common that the workers say that if you follow the safety rules, you may have your own personal experience. People are saying that if you follow 100% safety, your work may be delayed. It's a misconception of people. Situational violation. So this, in case the situational violations breaking the rules is due to the pressure of the job, such as being under time pressure, insufficient staff for the workload, the right equipment not being used. You can see the crazy picture here. It's not the right equipment for the 4 people, right? Or even extreme weather conditions. It may be very difficult to comply with the rules in particular situations. Of staff may think that the rule is unsafe under the circumstances. Risk assessment may help to identify the potential of such violations. Encouraging reporting of job pressure through open communication will be also helpful. Exceptional violations. This may happen very rarely and only then when something has gone wrong. To solve a new problem, you feel you need to break a rule even though you are aware that you will be taking a risk. You believe falsely and the benefit outweigh the risk. Here we are. We completed all the human failures here with all examples. Human failures, again we'll refresh. Human failures divided into mainly 2 categories: errors and violations. Errors are divided into 2: skill-based error and mistakes. Skill-based errors again divided into 2: slips of action, lapse of memory. So these pictures which I give you an example. Mistakes again divided into 2: rule-based mistakes, knowledge-based. And the second category of human failure is violation: routine violation, situational violations, exceptional violation. Now we'll go to another section which is factors affecting human behavior. Human behavior. We should know something about behavior, right? First. So what is behavior? In your workplace, you are very arrogant safety officer. You are taking photographs of the people. You are shouting your workers in front of others. And the worker feels that safety is not good. And other part, he's thinking, what is he thinking? He is thinking bad about safety because his previous experience, his previous company had bad safety culture. And when he come to your company, he also facing the same situation. Your company also having the same bad safety culture. Now, I talked about 2 things. One is about what the people thinking about safety and what the people are feeling about safety. So the 2 things I talked about now. One is feeling and thinking. What people think about safety and what people feel about safety. How it is translated into behavior, and that is called culture. Now, if I feel safety is not good, it may affect my behavior. If I think safety is not good because of my poor background knowledge, I'm not trained because I came from a poor safety culture company, it may change my behavior. It may influence my behavior. So in this section, we are going to learn what are the factors which will affect the human behavior. There are three factors: job factor, individual factor, and organizational factor. Let's go to job factor: the clarity of sign, signals, instruction, and other informations. If you are not instructing the people about safety, or not giving the signals, not sticking any posters in the workplace, and you are not communicating to people about the hazards, the people behavior also will change, and it will be the job factor which will lead to behavioral change of people. System equipment interferes. So the job, what system he is using to do the job, what equipment he is using to do the job. If the equipment is poor, it will affect the job factor and it will lead to a poor behavior or bad behavior. Difficulty, complexity of the task, routine or unusual task, divided attention. He cannot be able to concentrate because we are giving too much workload on him. Procedure inadequate or inappropriate. The job procedure is poor. Preparation for task, example, permit, risk assessment, checking. There was no risk assessment, no permits. Time available, requirement. Tools appropriate for the task. Communication with colleagues, supervision, contact with others. Working environment, noise, heat, space, lighting, ventilation. This all come under job factor, which will lead to poor behavior. Let's go to next, individual factor. Physical capability and condition of the people, individual. Fatigue, acute temporary situation or chronic fatigue. Stress or morale. Morale means the confidence of people. Work overload or underload. Competence to deal with circumstances. Motivation vs priorities. And these are the individual factors. So if you are not motivating the people may behave badly or wrongly, and it will affect the culture of your company. Next factor is organizational factor. The work pressure from the organization, level and nature of supervision. If poor supervision, the workers also behave very badly, which will affect your culture. Manning levels, there is no manpower, there is no sufficient people to work. Communication, the company is not communicating properly. Peer group pressures. Peer group pressure means work group pressure. Clarity of job and responsibilities. Consequence of failure to follow the rules and procedures. Effectiveness of organizational learnings, learning from experiences. Organizational or safety culture. So already the safety culture is poor, which will affect the human, which is also coming under organizational factor. So now the human contribution to the accidents. We are talking about the human error. How you or human error which lead to accident. Let's see. We just discussed about these three factors which will influence the people behavior. And when these factors are going poor, job factor and poor personal factor, poor organizational factor, which will lead to human failure, right? And this human failure will lead to unsafe act, which will lead to incident and fail to recover situations. Incident happened, but we did not control the situation, lead to accident and failure of mitigation. So mitigation means after the accident, we did not control the accident, which will lead to a worse accident. So again, we can see here latent error, which is again connected to human failure, which lead to unsafe act, and unsafe condition is coming from the latent error or design failures. So we are going to learn about this latent and active failures, and this again lead to incident. Okay. Now we'll go to active failure. Active failure is coming here. It's happening because of the shop floor worker. Let's see what is active and latent errors. Active failures have immediate consequence and are usually made by frontline people such as drivers, control room staff, or machine operators. In a situation where there is no room for error, these active failures have an immediate impact on health and safety. Latent failure. Latent failures are made by people whose tasks are removed in time and space from operational activities, example designers, decision makers, and managers. Latent failures are typically failure in health and safety management system, like design, implementation, or monitoring. Examples of latent failures are poor design and planned equipments, insufficient trainings, inadequate supervision, ineffective communication, inadequate resources, example people, equipments, uncertainties in roles and responsibility, that means no clarity in roles and responsibilities. So the latent failures provide a great, if not a greater, potential danger to health and safety as active failures. Same like active failures, latent failures also will be danger if you are not controlling it in the beginning. Latent failures are usually hidden within the organization until they are triggered by an event likely to have serious consequences. This is a case study of latent failure. Union Carbide, Bhopal, India Chemical Processing, 1984. What happened here? The consequence was the plant released a cloud of toxic methyl isocyanate. Death toll was 2,500, and over 1/4 of the city population was affected by the gas. What happened here? The human contribution and other causes. The leakage was caused by discharge of water in a storage tank. This was resulted of a combination of operator error and poor maintenance, failed safety system, and poor safety management. These are the different studies result from DuPont, Henrich, and Kletz. The action of the people account for 96% of injuries by DuPont. 80 to 90% of the accidents are due to human error by Henrich. 50 to 90% of accidents according to statistics are due to human failures by Kletz, 1990. So with this, we are ending our fourth section. Let's go to quiz. What are the factors affecting the human behavior? What is latent failures? What is active failures? And please attend the quiz. If you have any doubt, go back to the video. Next section is incident investigation procedure. This is our key part of the investigation and a lengthy procedure. We are now entering to our core business. Hi, welcome to session 5, incident investigation procedure. In this session, we are going to learn the procedure of incident investigation. In this session, we are going to learn reasons for investigation, level of investigation, under-reporting, written plan for investigation, incident investigation procedure. Start with reason for investigation. To identify immediate and root cause. This is a very important reason for incident investigation, to identify immediate or root cause. To identify corrective actions, the corrective action to prevent the recurrence. This is another reason of investigation. Record the facts because of the poor memory. If I need to refer the accident tomorrow, I can refer it because my memory is not good. And after 5 years also, I can check the same incident for the further reference. For legal reasons, because the law says that you have to investigate and keep the record of it. For claim management, the insurance company will start the further proceedings of compensation when we submit the investigation report to the insurance companies. For staff morale, to increase the staff confidence level is also another reason of investigating the accident or incident. How the staff confidence level will increase? Suppose if you are doing the accident investigation, we already explaining them that what is the purpose of investigation. What is the purpose of investigation? To stop the accident again. So when we communicate that we are investigating the accident to stop the recurrence of the same accident in future, the people confidence level will improve. At the time of accident, the people confidence level may come down. So when we investigating the accident, it will show them that we are stopping the accident from happening again. For disciplinary purpose, we can use our company's disciplinary procedure to take action against the people who violated the rules. But keep in mind, we should not blame the people. If you blame the employees or staff, you are the reason of accident. They may not report the accident in future. Another reason of investigation is to enable the risk assessment. Any accident happen, the risk assessment will be not valid to discover the trends. For example, one corner of your workplace, there are too many back injuries are happening. And this is kind of a trend. We need to investigate it. Next slide, we will see level of investigation. See these different levels here. One side, likelihood of recurrence. And here, potential worst consequence of the adverse event. So here the consequence and here the likelihood. That means the chance. The likelihood or chance of accident is very high. And here, the chance or likelihood or probability of accident is very rare. Here, the minor outcome, minor consequence, serious consequence, major consequence, fatality. Let's see, one accident happened, but it's very rare and it's minor. We just multiply it, we'll get blue color here. The chance of accident is very high and it is fatal accident, which means this all fall on red. So we will go in deeper the level of investigation, because as an investigator, we should know what level we should investigate the accident. As we discussed just before, the level of investigation is determined by likelihood of recurrence and potential worst consequence of undecided event. Start with the first level. It's low here and it's minimal level investigation. When the likelihood is very high, that means higher possible, and the outcome is minor, then we need to do a lower level investigation. If the likelihood is very unlikely, that means there is no chance of accident repetition again, and the outcome is minor, we need to do a minimal level of investigation. If the outcome is serious and higher chance of accident, we need to do a medium level of investigation. And the outcome is serious and there is lesser chance of accident happen, then we need to do a lower level investigation. The same thing is repeating here for the major and high chance and low chance, high and medium level of investigation. So here, if it is a fatality, higher chance of repetition accident, we can say high level of investigation. Let's go one by one levels from the minimum to high. In a minimum level investigation, your supervisor will try to learn any lesson learned which will prevent further occurrence. So we are here in blue. The outcome was minimal. The chance also was very less. We need to do a minimum level of investigation. Let's go for low level investigation. A short investigation by supervisor or line manager. Try to learn immediate underlying and root causes and try to prevent a recurrence and learn any general lessons. The number of persons increased, and also we are finding the causes, immediate causes, underlying causes and root causes. We try to prevent a recurrence and learn any general lessons. Here we can see an example of a lower level investigation. Keep in mind, even it is a near miss, and based on the outcome and the chance of accident, we need to do the lower level investigation for this kind of accident. Medium level investigation. Here, more detailed investigation is required, and in that, we have to look for the immediate and underlying and root causes. Now we are here. Let's see an example of that. So in this case, a fracture of hand, we need to do a medium level of investigation. Higher level investigation, when we are here, it will be a team-based investigation under the supervision of senior management or director, and we'll look for the immediate, underlying and root cause. This is a case of multiple fracture injury, multiple fatality, fatal accident. In case of a person died, we should do a higher level investigation. One important thing I wish to share here, the near miss and accident. Suppose a bigger machine fall from height in front of a person. It's a near miss. But if the machine fall on him, it may be a death. So this is a two situation. One is a near miss, one is an accident. In both cases, we need to do a higher level of investigation. We are saying incident investigation because near miss and accident both are incident. We need to take care about the seriousness of the accident. What is the potential consequence of the accident? Then we need to determine the level of investigation. Before starting the investigation, we need to determine what level of investigation we need to do. In this case, we need to consider two things. One is likelihood of incident and consequence of incident. From there, we can understand what level of investigation we should do. Next slide, we will see what are the reasons of underreporting. If any accident happen, your people may not report you. So let's see what are the reasons of not reporting the accident. Ignorance. People don't want. Ignorance of the required reporting procedure. So already the procedure is there, but people are ignoring because of many reasons. It may be peer group pressure, or it may be poor culture of your company. Having very complicated procedures in place. Procedure is very complicated. That's why they are not reporting. The need to save departmental safety records, incentive schemes, reducing the number of accidents. In this case, we know that we are measuring the performance. When we are measuring the performance, if the people who are connecting the performance with the bonus, the departmental people think that they may not get the bonus because of the accident or because of the poor health and safety performance, they may not report the accident. And this is also one of the reasons of underreporting. Avoiding obtaining first aid or medical treatment, which means the accident happened in your workplace, he got an injury, he think that I will do the first aid or medical treatment at home. That's why he's not reporting you. No reporting system in place. You did not develop their reporting procedure or a reporting system in your company. That's why people are not reporting. Culture of not reporting incident, which means people involved in a peer group pressure, and there is a poor culture of your company. Excessive paperwork. People think that too much paperwork you need to do. When they report the accident, they may not report the accidents to you. Take too much time because of they need to complete the job in time, and when they report the incidents to you, it may take time. That's why they are not reporting. Blame culture. It's very important here. When they reported the incident last time, you blamed them. The supervisors may blame them. So next time, he may not report the incident to the supervisor or safety officers. Believe that management does not take reports seriously. Last time he reported to you, you neglected that. Last time he reported a near miss to a supervisor. Supervisor told that it was not an accident, it's just a near miss. Next time, the employees may not report the accident because they think that management does not take report seriously. Written plan for investigation. This is very important to develop the written plan for the investigation before starting the investigation. Here the roles and responsibility, which is the content of investigation plan. Who will be in charge of investigation? It may be project manager, project director. Who will gather the physical evidence? Because in case of accident, we cannot immediately arrange the person. So before the accident itself, we need to plan it. Who will collect the physical evidence from the scene of the accident? Who will take notes and photographs? Who will interview the witness and victim? Who will prepare the final report? So these all kinds of roles and responsibilities must be there in your written plan of investigation. The written plan also include list of PPEs which required, list of special transportation or communication needs like wireless or a mobile phone or a land phone, list of equipments. We can see some of the pictures here, list of like a camera, a torch, multi-gas monitor, a glass jar, voice recorder. Let's see some of the list of equipments. Photographic equipment, portable lights, sketch pencil and measuring equipments, record keeping equipments, sample collection equipments, tools for cleaning debris or spillage, portable gas or vapor detection equipments. These are the list of equipment we can add, and you can change or add additional equipments based on your requirement of your workplace. The other important part here we require is checklist. We need a checklist because it will avoid the distraction. The distractions cause mistakes. The accidents happen. We may miss some of the important point to collect. The checklist ensure the systematic and consistent way of investigation. And checklist help to focus attention on critical tasks to be done during investigation. An effective checklist identify critical action in simple and clear language. We can approach in a systematic way and consistent way. The checklist will identify critical action in a simple language. In complex situation, there can be a tool to guide people through the key steps necessary to control the situation. Collecting data is a critical part of investigation. Now we'll go to a session quiz. What are the reasons for incident investigation? Level of investigation? Reason for underreporting? What are the contents written plan for investigation?
steps of investigation. Let's go to when we should start incident investigation. The urgency of investigation will depend on the magnitude and immediacy of the risk involved. For example, a major accident involving an everyday job will need to be investigated quickly. In general, adverse events should be investigated and analyzed as soon as possible. This is not simply good practice, it's a common sense. Memory is best and motivation greatest immediately after an adverse event. So we have to investigate the accident depends on magnitude and immediacy of risk involved. Next, we will go to what makes a good investigation. So in this slide, we can see a picture of a weed. To get rid of weeds, you must dig up the root. If you are only cut off the foliage, the weed will grow again. Similarly, it is not only by carrying out investigation which identify the root causes, that organization can learn from their past failures and prevent future failures. Simply dealing with the immediate cause of adverse event may provide a short-term fix, but in time, the underlying or root cause that were not addressed will allow conditions develop where further adverse events are likely possible with more serious consequences. But in time, the underlying or root cause that were not addressed will allow conditions to develop where further adverse events are likely, possibly with more serious consequences. It is essential that the immediate underlying causes and root causes are all identical and remedied. Investigation should be conducted with accident prevention in mind, not placing blame. Keep in mind, don't blame the people. If you blame the people before the investigation has started, it is counterproductive because people become defensive and uncooperative. So the objective is to establish not only how the adverse event occurred, but more importantly, what allowed it to happen. The root cause of the adverse event are almost inevitably management, organizational, or planning failures. We can see an example of investigation, how we can find out the root cause. Man slipped on a patch. This we can say a immediate cause. Inadequate maintenance leads to man slip on a patch of oil. Inadequate housekeeping leads to inadequate maintenance. Lack of supervision and monitoring leads to inadequate housekeeping. Inadequate health and safety management leads to lack of supervision and monitoring. Management not being committed to health and safety lead to inadequate health and safety management. Okay, now we'll discuss about emergency response. So in case of any accident, just imagine an accident happen in your workplace. What will be your response? The important thing you need to consider, save yourself. Your safety is first step of emergency response. So you have to save yourself. Wear PPE. If you don't have PPEs, you may expose to the hazards available in the accident location. For example, gloves. Some of the PPEs, gloves, goggles, earplugs. Gloves is useful to protect your fingerprint on the items in the accident location. You can see if you wear the gloves, your fingerprint may be there on the materials or evidence found in the accident location. So better to wear a gloves before touching any of the objects, and don't allow anybody to touch in any of the object in the accident location. Next, well-being of injured person. It's very important. We can see here, first you saved yourself, and here you are wearing PPE, again you are saving yourself. Next, we'll go to well-being of the people who are in trouble. Next, secure the scene. As we told that if you're not securing the scene, what is going to happen? The accident location may modified or altered. We may not get sufficient amount of evidence from the accident location. So secure the scene. Next, witness should be separated. Witness should be separated because if you allow the witness to talk to each other, they may make their own story and we will not get the proper human evidence. So these are the points we should consider in emergency response. So let's talk about initial report. Initially, note the name of the people. Write down the name of the person who is injured. Write down the witness detail. Note the equipment involved. Note the name of the witness. Report the accident. Reporting the accident is very important. We know, as per your company procedure, use your company reporting form to report the accident. Again, this is depend upon the seriousness or worst consequence of the accident. If it is a serious one, we have to report it immediately by phone or any other communication medium. If it's a minor one, we need to check if it is a major or minor one. You have to check your company procedure, whether it is reportable or recordable. Let's see how we can report the accident or incident. We have to report the accident to senior management, enforcement authority, injured person family, owner of the asset, clients, insurance companies, safety employee representatives, health and safety department, and human resource department. You need to check who are the enforcement authority in your country. If you are in UK, you have to report by the law of RIDDOR, Reporting of Injury, Disease, and Dangerous Occurrence 1995. For those based on RIDDOR, for those accidents and dangerous occurrence that are reportable under the provisions of RIDDOR, this information must be notified to the enforcing authority. A telephone service can be used to report fatal and major injuries only. Call the Incident Contact Center on 0845 300 9923. Opening hours Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 5 p.m. So this is for only UK. You must also keep a record of the reports you make that are required under REDOR. You can also do this by keeping a copy of form, recording the incident or incident book, recording the incident electronically. You also need to enter detail of accidents in accident books. And you need to decide on scale of investigation where appropriate, decide who will carry out the investigation, the resource required to the brief investigation team. It is important that the prompt notification of REDOR reportable events is a legal requirement. Let's see a simple report form, accident or incident report form. Now we'll talk about investigation team. In the investigation team, who are the members? We should decide. Someone familiar with the work location. It may be a supervisor or manager from the work location, senior manager with authority of influence, health and safety experts, employee representative, person involved in event, if it is possible, technical expert, if necessary. The size of the team is determined by the size of the organization. Let's go to our steps of incident investigation. We are dividing this incident investigation into 4 main steps. Step 1, gathering the information. Step 2, analyzing the information. Step 3, identifying risk control measures that we already covered, the hierarchy of controls or any other controls. Step 4, action plan and its implementation. With this, we are ending this session. We'll go to each steps deeply. Before going to each steps, we'll have a quiz. Please attend the quiz. And if you have any doubt, please go back to the video and check again. Thank you. Hi, welcome back to session 5, steps of investigation. We have 4 steps. We'll enter first to step 1, gathering the information. Capture information as soon as possible. It is important to capture information as soon as possible. The stops is being corrected. Example, item moved, guard replaced, etc. If necessary, what must stopped and unauthorized access to be prevented. Talk to everyone who was close by when the adverse event happened, especially those who saw what happened or know anything about the condition that led to accident. Now we'll go to 4 items which we have to collect from the accident location. Collect factual information, gathering physical information, human information, gathering documentary information. Let's see what are the factual informations we have to collect. Photographs, sketch, measurements, videos, written description of factors such as wind speed, temperature, etc. Marking up existing site or location plan is also coming under factual informations which we need to collect. Next, we talk about photographing. What are the important things we need to keep in mind when you take photographs of incident location? When you take photograph, start by general area, then specific area. General area means we can use the wide range of the area. Means we can see in the right side picture, the incident area fully covered. And here in the left side picture also we can see the whole area is covered in the picture. So this is called general area. Specific area means we are going very closer and specific to the hazard one by one. That is called specific scene. Take photos from all sides and several angles as well as close-up and isolation shots. Create a photo log. Photo log means you can see here on the right side the picture, date and time, figure 13, like a bridge side with the location. So this is called photo log. Store the picture in plastic photographic file. The photos may damage, keep it safe. If you planning to record the video, narrate the relevant points identified above. So what are the points you identified above? Just talk in video so that the people who are further referring the video, they can understand what is happening around. Let's see what are the physical information we can collect from the workplace. Equipments, part of equipments, debris, hardwares, other physical items like chemical samples above. Go and check the PDF file which I already attached in descriptions. File name is 7A and B. This is checklist. Let's have a look on this checklist. You can see here 7A part evaluation guide where we can see the process involved in examination of the part and cleaning guidelines. This is all about part evaluation guide. 7B part worksheet. 7B is about part worksheet. Here we can see look for the part that is malfunction, failed, evidence found, what evidence you found. So you can use this checklist. It will be easy for you. Even you can download this checklist from the description. Please download it and have a look on that. File name is 7A and 7B. Let's see remaining physical information we have to collect. Preserve the evidence or sample. Preservation also very important because the tools, material, machine part, chemical, air samples, liquid or solids. This all evidence we have to preserve it and carefully wrap and label everything in clean, dry and leak-proof containers. For example, this is a sealed cover, airtight cover. You can see here the plastic cover which is sealed. Tips of sketching. Place the important information on the center. We can use the graph paper for this to draw. Even if you don't have the graph paper, you can use a simple blank paper. Place the information in the center of drawing and draw the rest around. So the information should be on center Include all measurements, angle and directions indicators taken at site. Include the final position of casualty and debris. Do not worry about making drawings to scale or creating attractively perfect drawings. And the drawing looked like this: the person falls through the pit and he fell down. And always keep in mind, attempt to draw each item correctly related to other items present. So like this is an example of that. This item should be matched with the other item. In such a way, how to draw the sketching. Label items correctly. Just label it. What are the items? Cross-reference your sketch and photographs to applicable files and occupational safety and health committee minutes form. This is very important to cross-reference. Just write down the file name or figures or photographs. Just refer it here, and so that we can easily go to click. When we click here, and it will lead to that PDF. If you are planning to make this in a PDF file, we can just cross-refer that text. And when we click on the text, which will go directly to that specific page. That is called cross-reference. This is for the cross-reference so that the people who are looking the accident investigation report, they can go back and check again. Once you have gathered all the informations, all the evidence, you need to ensure that the incident scene is returned to normal use. This may involve disinfecting the area of blood was spilled, checking the equipment and material to assess functionality, and ensure that the incident will not repeat. If a process or piece of equipment need to be stopped until further examination proves its effectiveness, notify the management immediately to cease operation. If in doubt about the functionality of equipment or material or process, have it checked by those who are technically qualified. This qualified person should be preferred by the external organization or a third party. We have to make sure that there should not be a repeated incident. Check the equipment functions, and spill chemical we have to deal with by using the spill control kits and all. Spilled blood should be decontaminated. Next, gathering human information. This is very critical or crucial part of incident investigation. There are several categories of witness who could have information helping to determine the causes of incident. The categories are who saw or were involved in the incident, that we can say eyewitness. Those who came on the scene immediately after the incident. Those who saw event leading to incident. Those who have information about work, task, process, safety, devices in use, materials, equipments, and other condition involved in the accident. Consider the expertise, background, and credibility of each witness. Consider where they were when the incident occurred. Let's talk about interview witness as soon as possible. We have documents about witness 5A, 5B, and 5C. Have a look on that files. You will get more information about human informations. To obtain as pure version of the story as possible, the witness should be interviewed as soon as possible, as practicable after the incident. If the interviews are not done quickly, memories of witness may fade, the information become distorted. If witnesses have an opportunity to discuss the event among themselves, individuals, perceptions may be lost in the normal process of accepting an agreement view where doubt exists about the facts. To avoid witness discussion, for these reasons, the witness should be separated as soon as possible, preferably at the scene of incident where it is easier to establish the position of each person involved and the description of the events. If necessary, conduct more detailed interview later as evidence, such as photographs, become available. If the witness is under stress at scene, what we can do? If the witness is under stress or you cannot speak to each one immediately, ask each to go into a separate room and write out what they saw happen during the incident in their own words. Interview each witness afterwards. Read out the person's statement back and clear up uncertainties. When you are satisfied that you are all the necessary information, ask each witness to review and sign their statement. Compare your interviews against those of others investigators, such as the police or reporters from the media, if this information is available. So this method can serve as an effective means of information gathering, since individuals will jot down their own ideas in their own words without influence of an interviewer or other witness. Witness may be feeling any number of emotions, for example, anger, sadness, stress, or fear. This kind of emotions may hinder the investigation and may negatively affect other person involved. Be aware of each person's physical and emotional state and proceed with empathy and understanding. Put each witness to ease. So what are the common causes of discomfort? It may be fear. People think that they may be blamed or punished or evaluated. Past wrongdoings, because your management take wrong action on him, so the people think that he will be blamed or punished. Concern about raising information. Interviewer not at ease. Interviewer is very strict. Incomplete knowledge of topic. So he have the concern of releasing the information. And interview location, the privacy, lack of. So you are conducting the interview in a common room or a supervisor or your room where lots of people are there, so that he cannot. It may affect their emotional condition. If the witness is shy and or quiet, what we can do? Gain trust and let him or her know that he or she is providing a service to their employer. Next type of witness is I know it all. In this case, keep him or her focused on your questions, as he or she tends to interject his or her opinions. If your witness is unfriendly or hostile, don't press too hard for the answer. Be pleasant and positive, so he or she helps you, as he or she may purposefully mislead you or omit information if feel threatened. The opening of the interview. Begin slowly It is said that people make judgments within the first few seconds of meeting someone. Take the time at the beginning of the interview to put the witness at ease, to begin slowly and to listen closely and carefully. This gives the witness a chance to formulate the story in their own mind and give you a preview of what they know. Tips for the interviewer. Interview in a non-threatening neutral location, free of interruptions and distractions. Position yourself to the same level as the witness. For example, make sure your chair are the same height and position yourself close to the witness as if you were having a casual conversation. Do not separate yourself from the witness with a large imposing desk. Before you begin, let the witness know that he or she is providing a valuable service to the employer. They should understand that they are being helpful and that their cooperation is appreciated. Reassure the witness that you are not going to blame them or point the finger at any employees. Emphasize that the intent is to identify hazard that need to be corrected so the future incidents are prevented. Let the witness know you will be taking notes so that you do not forget anything. Let the witness recount the event before, during, and immediate after the accident so that we can find out the causes of that incident. Don't ask leading questions or closed questions. What is the reason of this? Because if you ask the closed question, the answer may be yes or no. So yes or no question is called closed question or leading question. So don't ask. We need a full-fledged answer from them so that we should ask open questions. Ask how they would prevent a repeat accident. So we are getting suggestion from them. Maybe he have lots of experience in their job. So you may get the control measures from their recommendations. Remain positive at all time. Don't accuse. Ask them, you have any other friends who saw the accident, any other witness? Read the statement for any changes. Offer your thanks. Using the open-ended questions, these are some of the example of open-ended questions. Tell me about what did you see or hear? Where were you at that time? Explain how this task is done. Use visual aid, photographs, sketch, and illustration so that he can recollect all the incident and tell you the correct story. Ask questions to get more information as required. Use visual aids, photographs, sketches, and illustrations to help witness recall information and clarify important points. Consider asking witness to draw a sketch. Examples include, can you tell me what happened? What did you see? When you do the interviews, some of the pitfalls we have to avoid. For example, did you think that? Intimidate the witness. For example, alarming or discourage remarks such as, well, that was a stupid thing to do. So something he was talking about, in between you are talking. Interrupt the witness when they are speaking, in between we are talking. Convey your judgments. These are all the wrong thing, we should avoid it. Last information we have to gather is documentary information. Let's see what are the documents we have to collect about the incident. Past incident report, safety and health committee meetings, formalized safety work procedures, training records, site plan, area layout plans, company policies, risk assessment forms, safe system of work, permit to work. I will go to step 2, analyzing the information. Step 2, again, we are dividing into 3, sequence of event, root cause analysis, and causal analysis. Let's see what is sequence of event. One last important point to make is that most accident processes are far more complex than you might originally think. The accident investigation could serve a protective safety process unless system improvement effectively prevent future accidents. So sequence of event, we have to assemble all the data and evidence, extract relevant information, identify any gaps, sample sequence of event. Let's see one sample sequence of event. Employee 1 returned to work at 12:30 p.m. After lunch to continue laying irrigation pipes. Approximately 12:45 p.m., Employee 1 began dumping accumulated sand from the irrigation mainline pipe. Employee 1 oriented the pipe vertically and it contacted a high voltage power line directly over work area. Employee 2 heard a sap and turned to see the mainline pipe falling and Employee 1 falling into an irrigation ditch. Employee 2 ran to Employee 1 and pulled him from the irrigation ditch, laid him on his back and ran about 600 feet to his truck and placed a call for help on his mobile phone. Employee 2 then ran back to find Employee 1 had fallen back into the ditch. Employee 2 jumped back into the ditch and held Employee 1 out of the water until help arrived. 2 each ranch employees arrived and assisted Employee 2 in getting Employee 1 out of the ditch. Approximately 1 minute later, paramedic arrived and began to administer CPR on Employee 1. They also used a heart defibrillator in an attempt to stabilize Employee 1 heartbeat. At approximately 1:10 p.m., an ambulance arrived to transport Employee 1 to the hospital where he was pronounced dead at 1:30 p.m. This was a sample sequence event. When you are making a sample sequence, we have to write in that way so that we can identify the gaps. From there, we can extract the relevant information. Now we are going to do the causal analysis. Causal analysis, again, we are dividing into 3. Injury analysis to identify immediate causes, event analysis to identify underlying causes, system analysis to identify root causes. You can see here the cause analysis, injury analysis, event analysis, and system analysis. So we are going to find the causal analysis. As mentioned earlier in the course, accidents are processes that culminate in an injury or illness. An accident may be a result of many factors that have interacted in some dynamic way. In an effective accident investigation, the investigator will conduct 3 levels of causal analysis. These are injury analysis, event analysis, and system analysis. So system analysis to find out the root causes, event analysis to find out the underlying causes, injury analysis to find out immediate causes. Start with the injury analysis. We can see a person got injured on his face. It's a burn by acid. We can say it's a direct cause of accident. What was the reason of direct cause? It was because of surface cause. 2 things lead to surface cause. One was condition and one was behavior. The unsafe condition lead to surface cause and unsafe behavior also lead to surface cause. And this surface cause made harmful transfer of energy lead to direct cause. So he used acid and the acid splashes on his face and the person suffered a chemical burn because the skin has been exposed to a chemical form of energy that destroyed tissue. In this instance, the direct cause of injury is a harmful chemical reaction. The related surface cause might be the acidic nature of the chemical. You can say the condition. Working without proper face protection is unsafe behavior. If your workload is too hard, force requirement on your body may cause muscle strain. Here the direct cause of injury is a harmful kinetic energy, means the energy resulting from motion. It will cause the injury to muscle tissues. A related surface cause of the accident might be fatigue, that means a hazardous condition, or improper lifting technique. It's an unsafe behavior. In the next section, we will take a closer look on each of type of energy that might cause injury. The important point to remember here is that direct cause of injury is not same as the surface cause of the accident event. So let's see some of the harmful form of energy. Acoustic energy, excessive noise and vibration. Chemical energy, corrosive, toxic, flammable, reactive substance. Electrical energy, low voltage, high voltage. Kinetic energy, things in motion and impact. Mechanical energy, cut, crush, bend, shear, pinch, wrap, etc. Potential energy, that means stored energy, pressure, tension, compression, etc. Radiation energy, microwave, visible, infrared, ultraviolet, X-rays, etc. Thermal energy, excessive heat, extreme cold, source of flame, etc. Let's go to event analysis. As we discussed the last slide, surface cause is because of 2 conditions. One is unsafe conditions and unsafe behavior. Here you determine the hazardous condition and unsafe behavior described in the sequence of the event dynamically interact to produce the accident. The surface clues will give you a clue of underlying causes. The hazardous conditions and unsafe behavior uncovered are the surface causes for the accident and give clues that point to possible system weakness. That means unsafe behavior and unsafe conditions will give you a clue for root cause. Let's see system analysis to find out the root cause. Now let's switch gear. Instead of talking about unique condition and behaviors, let's take a look at analyzing the surface cause to determine possible safety management system weakness. The root cause of the accidents are the underlying safety management system weakness, which consists of thousands of variables, or any number of which can somehow contribute to the surface cause of accident. This weakness can take 2 forms: system design root causes, system implementation root causes. Let's see some of the example of system design root causes. Policies, plans, programs, process, procedures. System design root cause is the inadequate design of one or more component of safety management system. It is very important to make sure appropriate conditions, activities, behaviors, and practice occur consistently throughout the workplace. Ultimately, most surface cause will lead to system design flaws. Let's have a look on system implementation root cause. System implementation root cause is an inadequate implementation of one or more component of safety management system. After each safety management system component is designed, it must be effectively implemented. You may design an effective safety plan, yet suffer failure because it was not implemented properly. If you effectively implement a poor written safety plan, you will get the same result. In either instance, you will eventually need to improve one or more policy, plan, programs, process, procedures, and practices. Safety managers should work with safety engineers to eliminate or reduce exposure to hazard through effectively improving safety system components. Because the system design work common throughout the workplace, eliminating any single root cause may simultaneously eliminate many hazardous conditions and unsafe behavior. Since root cause residing within the safety management system, upper management, those who formulate the system, are most likely going to be involved in making the necessary improvement. When analyzing for system weakness, it may be beneficial to coordinate closely with those who will be responsible for implementing system improvements. Let's go back. Eliminating any single root cause may simultaneously eliminate many hazardous conditions and unsafe behavior. That is our surface cause or underlying cause. Let's have a look on Fishbone or Ishikawa diagram. Again, we can say it's a cause-effect diagram. Effect is there in the right-hand side. The injury happened here. And these are the causes of this injury. So we are considering 5 factors which we already covered in the last section: the management, equipment, task, environment, personnel. And these were the causes which will lead to accidents. The accident was forklift truck overturning. The injury happened. Under task, there are many points. Under environment, many points. These all points we are getting from brainstorming the people. So this is a kind of cause-effective concept to identify the causes. The root cause also identified by 5 Whys. There are many methods like MORT, MORT, Management Oversight and Risk Tree, Project Evaluation Tree. You can use any of the concept or theories to analyze the informations. We need to find out the 3 things. After all, you are using any methods or any theory, how to find out the causes. You can use 5 Why method, you can use MORT analysis, you can use fishbone or Ishikawa diagram. That's up to you. But important. Hi, welcome back. Step 3, identifying risk control. In this session, we are going to learn about effective recommendations, why decision makers don't respond quickly when you are submitting a report to the decision maker, how we can do it right way, or how we can prepare a report in a right way, the hierarchy of control strategies, GIGO, QIQO, garbage in, garbage out, quality in, quality out. 6 key questions the decision makers may ask you when you're submitting report to them. Estimating direct and indirect cost, provide options, report writing. Start with identifying risk control. Once you have developed the engineering and administrative controls to eliminate or reduce injuries, the challenge becomes convincing management to make changes. Management will not likely understand the importance of taking corrective actions and readily agree to your ideas. However, if management does not quite understand the benefits, success becomes less likely. Your ability to present effective recommendations become all that more important. This module will help you to learn how to put together an offer they can't refuse by emphasizing the long-term bottom line benefits for corrective actions you are recommending. So from this picture, you can understand you are educating your management about the benefits. If you convince the management, they will take action. If your offer is convincing, they can't refuse. How we can do it? By emphasizing the long-term bottom line benefits of corrective actions you are recommending. Why decision makers does not respond quickly? It may be because of recommendations are not acted upon. It's usually because the decision makers does not have enough information to make a judgment. Not learn to anticipate the questions from the decision maker. This is also another reason. They may not respond quickly. More relevant recommendation, higher the chance for approval. To speed up the process and to improve the approval rate, you must learn to anticipate the questions the decision makers will ask in order to sign off the requested change. This being the case, the more relevant information included in the presentation, the higher chance of approval. This means if you included the relevant informations in your presentation, there's a high chance of approval. How we can do it right? Immediate or short-term corrective actions to eliminate, reduce the hazard conditions and or unsafe behavior related to accident. Long-term system improvements to create, revise existing policies, programs, plan, process, procedures, and practices. So it's important to divide your recommendation into 2 categories. One is immediate or short-term corrective actions. This is to eliminate or reduce hazardous condition and or unsafe behavior related to accident. About the long-term system improvements to create or revise existing safety policies and procedures. Some employers may assign the responsibility for making recommendation to safety directors or other managers. However, you as the accident investigator may be required to take on this very important responsibility. Consequently, it's a good idea to know where to start and how to write a strong recommendation. One tip upfront, if you find the responsibility is yours, be sure to get the help of expert if you are unaware how to proceed. Like in US, OSHA consultant, other safety professionals, or your workers' compensation insurer can be great source for help. Okay, let's talk about hierarchy of controls. We know the 5 hierarchy of control. We already discussed on this. From the top side of this triangle, we can see elimination, physically remove the hazard, substitution, replace the hazard, engineering control, isolate the people from the hazard, administrative control, change the way of people working, PPEs, protect the worker with personal protective equipment. You can see the top side is most effective, and when we come to this bottom, least effective. Again, we'll go back to the previous examples we have already discussed. Elimination. Here, no hazards or no exposure, that means no accident. Totally eliminated the hazard. Why this control strategy is top priority? It's because of employing an elimination control hazard potential to completely remove the hazard, and there is no risk of accident. We are somehow changing condition in the workplace. Substitution means hazard with a less hazardous condition, process, or method. So we substituted the higher hazardous material to a lower hazardous. Here we substituted the higher hazardous chemical to a lower hazardous chemical. Both are hazardous, but we choose a lesser hazardous chemical. Some basic examples are substituting the toxic chemical with a non-toxic chemical or replacing an old poorly designed machine with a new model. Okay, let's talk about engineering controls. Here we are changing the strategies by 3-way: design, redesign, and closure. For example, design a tool so that it reduces the likelihood of a strain or sprain. Redesign, for example, change the design of a machine so that the dangerous moving part of electrical circuit are out of reach. Enclosure, for example, place a hood over the noisy printer, place a machine guard around the dangerous moving part. It's important to note that in US, OSHA expects the employer to first try to eliminate, substitute, or engineering control the hazard so that it can no longer cause a serious injury. For instance, if a machine is producing unacceptable noise, OSHA would expect employer to first eliminate or reduce the noise level to acceptable level using one or more of these three strategies. In this instance, an engineering control such as an enclosure might work. Okay, let's talk about warning. You can see some of the warning here by GHS, Global Harmonized System. Signals and labels that tell employees to keep out, may cause eye irritation, etc. These are used to warn employees about hazard. Employees do not necessarily to follow posted rules, warnings. They usually only follow enforced rules and warnings. Think about that the next time you are driving down the highway. Do you drive the posted speed limit or the enforced speed limit? These are some of the pictograms for health hazard, flames, exclamation mark, and other different kinds of pictograms. Other administrative controls are job rotation, scheduling work breaks, safe system of work, and maintenance. This control strategy also attempts to reduce exposure by limiting the duration of exposure to a hazard. To do this, the employer may employ job rotation and schedule work break. This is also accomplished through improving work procedures and practice. For example, develop and use a safe work procedure for preventing maintenance on air conditioning equipment, changing the frequency of exposure, changing the dose, changing the concentration, job rotation, trainings, supervision, information, instruction. This is all coming under administrative controls. We are changing the frequency of work. We are changing the dose of work. This is all related to administrative controls. Okay, let's talk about personal protective equipment. Any system that relies on human behavior is inherently unreliable. This is why the PPE is the last resort of a hierarchy of control. Some jobs require PPEs by law. PPEs place a barrier between workers and hazard. This control strategy is used in a conjunction with other control strategies like elimination, substitution, engineering control, and administrative control. This should not be used to replace them. When other controls do not adequately eliminate or reduce the hazards, PPEs may be needed in addition to those strategies. Remember, PPE does not eliminate or reduce the hazard itself. It merely sets up a barrier between the hazard and people. And to be successful, it is highly dependent on the employee's behavior. The final three control strategies are less effective than elimination, substitution, and engineering control. For example, warning, administrative control, and PPE. These are less effective than elimination, substitution, and engineering control. Rather, these three controls, that means warning, administrative control, and PPEs, they merely attempt to reduce exposure to hazards by controlling behavior. Attempting to change things we do or don't do as long as employees behave or comply with the warning sign, administrative control, and wear PPE when required, this strategy will work. Okay, let's discuss about more important topic here. Already we discussed about this before. The accident happened here, and these all are the causes. And we identify the control measures. When you are applying the control measures in these causes, and when you are actually doing it in the workplace, then the accident investigation will be successful. Let's talk about GIGO and QIQO. This idea is to think about. When managers do not respond to a recommendation, it may be that they do not enough useful information to take action. You have probably heard of GIGO principle. If you put garbage in, you will get garbage out. That is called GIGO. That also works on flip side, quality in, quality out, or QIQO. Useful information presented to management is more likely to result in decisions that take effective action to make long-lasting positive improvement. Okay, let's talk about 6 key questions. To help make sure your recommendations include quality short-term corrective actions and long-term safety management improvements, answer the following 6 primary questions. Doing this will help you be able to answer any questions management may have at the time you present your recommendations. And it will help you justify taking actions by appealing to management's need to fulfill their obligations. Answer the following questions to help develop and justify recommendation. Question number 1. What exactly is the problem? What are the specific hazardous condition and unsafe work practice that caused the problem? What are the system components? That means the inadequate design and implementation of safety management procedure, program, process, and general practice that allow the condition and behavior to exist. Number 2, what is the history of problem? Have similar accident occurred previously? If so, you should be able to claim that the probability for similar accident is highly likely to occur. What are the previous direct and indirect cost of similar accident? How have similar accidents affected protection and morale of people? Number 3, what are the solutions that would correct the problem? Here, what are the specific engineering, administrative, and PPEs control that when applied, when eliminate or at least reduce exposure to hazardous conditions? What are the specific system improvement needed to ensure a long-term fix? Number 4, who is the decision maker? Who is the person who can approve, authorize, and act on corrective measures? What are the possible objections he or she may have? What are the arguments that will be most effective in overcoming objections? Number 5, why is the decision maker doing safety? It's important to know that what is motivating the decision maker. Is the decision maker doing safety to fulfill one or more of the following imperatives? Fulfill the legal obligations? You may need to emphasize possible penalties if corrective actions are not made, common in a fear-driven culture. Fulfill the financial obligations. You may want to emphasize the cost or benefit, common in the achievement-driven culture. Fulfill the social obligations. You may want to emphasize improved morale, public relations, common in human corporate culture. Employer motivation will determine the nature of the objections to the recommendation you submit. What are possible objections the decision maker might raise? Whatever they might be, it is important you understand their motivations so that you are better prepared with responses that satisfy the decision maker's needs. List the possible decision maker's objections. List the arguments that are most likely to be successful against those objections. At last, review the employer obligations under administrative laws. Number 6, what will be the cost or benefit of corrective actions and system improvement? What are the costs that might result if or when OSHA inspect or your enforcement agency inspect your site? Answer these questions to address the legal obligation your employer has. When the estimated investment required to take corrective action, and how does the contrast with the possible cost if corrective actions are not taken? Answer this question to address the financial obligation your employer has. What is the message sent to the workforce and community as a result of action or inaction? Answer this question to address the social obligation your employer has. It is important to have the answers to all of these questions ready for decision maker. Your maintenance supervisor may be able to help you to estimate the investment required for recommended corrective actions. These options might also eliminate or reduce the hazard and the exposures. Try to include at least 3, but only 1 or 2 for this exercise. Briefly list low or high cost solutions that eliminate the problem now or after. Briefly list low or high cost solutions that reduce the problems now or after. Briefly list the advantages and disadvantages of each solutions. Let's talk about estimating the direct and indirect cost. We know about the direct cost and indirect cost. The economic impact for every dollar of direct cost, the National Safety Council estimates an additional $4 to $10 of hidden cost. So the cost we are dividing into direct cost and hidden cost or indirect cost. That means we are spending $1 for direct cost and we are spending $4 to $10 for hidden cost or indirect cost. And when we add the direct and hidden cost, we'll get the real cost of the accident. So this is very important. You have to add this direct cost and indirect cost in your report and submit to your management so that they can understand the seriousness of accident. Here, estimating direct and indirect cost, ratio between direct or insured and indirect or uninsured cost in your scenario. To help estimate direct indirect cost, you can use the OSHA Safety Pays software. The link will be in the description. This is an excellent software tool that determines direct and indirect accident cost. It also calculates the business volume required to cover those costs. The data is based on 52,000 lost time claims submitted to a major worker compensation insurance carrier. What is the ratio between direct and indirect cost scenario? The incident cost of the accident will usually be greater than the direct cost. Indirect costs are ranged from 1 to 20 times greater than the direct cost. Depending on the severity of the injury, for every $1 spent in direct cost, you will pay an additional $1 to $20 in indirect cost, as we discussed before. For every $1 spent in direct cost, you will pay $1.50 in indirect cost. To determine the ratio between the indirect and direct cost, use this equation. Let's say an employee injured and his hand requiring surgery while working around the machine in our scenario. If the indirect accident cost totals $160,000 and the direct cost is $40,000, the ratio of indirect to direct cost will be 4 to 1. The ratio just happened to be the average ratio between indirect and direct cost in the USA. OSHA Safety Pays software is there in this link. Other than this video, please check the description to get the link and use this link to estimate the direct and indirect cost. Okay, let's talk about provide many options to decision makers. This is a good recommendation strategy to provide the decision maker with alternative corrective actions. This will increase the probability that the decision maker will choose one of the alternative. Your opinion might follow these logics: first option, second option, and third option. Let's see what is first option. If we had all the money we needed, what could we do? Eliminate the hazard with primarily engineering controls, additional administrative controls if required. That means here you have enough money to spend. Second option, if we have limited funds, what would we do? Estimate the hazard with primarily administrative controls, engineering controls if required. Next option, if we don't have enough money, what can we do? Reduce exposure to hazard with administrative controls or PPE. How was this? Pretty tough, but the whole idea is to help you to get through the rough part now, so that you will be able to develop the present effective recommendation to top management the first time. Okay, let's talk about report writing. There are 5 sections: background, description of accident, findings, recommendation, and summary. Let's talk about background. This section contains background information that answers the question about who is the victim and the time, date, location of accident, as well as other necessary details. Make sure you obtain all of this information for possible later reference. Section 2, description of accident. This section presents a descriptive narrative of event leading up to, including the immediate after the accident. It is important that the narrative paint are vivid. That means the word picture, so that someone unfamiliar with the accident can clearly see what happened. Let's see an example of description of accident by sequence. We already saw this incident before when I talked about the sequence of accident. This is a way of writing description of accident. Section 3, findings. The findings section describes the hazardous condition, safe behavior, and the system weakness your analysis has uncovered. Each description of a surface or root cause will also include justification of the finding. The justification will explain how you came to your conclusion. Unfortunately, the most failure found in accident report is that they address only surface causes. Consequently, similar accidents recur. This report forms may have a format that focuses the investigator to list only surface cause of the accident. The form does not report the system weakness associated with each surface cause. Consequently, the investigator believes the job is done without ferreting out system weakness representing the root causes. Other forms may actually require the investigator to indicate the status of employee negligence. Now, how can the accident investigation assure an interview or any other employee that the purpose of analysis process is fix the system, not the blame? The other kind of forms may actually require the investigator to indicate the status of employee negligence. That means in this form, we are using to blame the people. If we are using this kind of form, how can the accident investigator assure the interviewer or any other employee that the purpose of the analysis process is to fix the system, not the blame? When the report forms shout negligence, this is not a good kind of forms. Please check your companies which kind of forms you have. To complete this section, just state the fact. The hazardous condition, unsafe behavior practices, the inadequate or missing programs, policies, plan, process, and procedures that produced them. Be sure to write complete descriptive sentence, not short cryptic phrases. Let's have a look on findings, how it look like. The findings should be in this way. You should identify the hazardous condition and behavior and the root causes. You can see the root causes listed here and the surface cause also listed here. Here we can see that there is no blame against the people. We are just fixing the problem. Your report should be like this. Okay, let's have a look on recommendations. If root causes are not addressed properly in section 3 of your report, it is doubtful recommendation in this section will include improving system inadequacies. Effective recommendation will describe ways to eliminate or reduce both surface and root causes. They will also detail estimated cost involved with implementing corrective actions. Let's take a closer look at effective recommendation writing. And this is a proper format of writing the recommendation, the corrective action, system improvements, corrective action for the unsafe act and unsafe conditions, system improvement for the root causes. You can use this format if your organization report or if your report is not an effective one. You can implement the same system or you can add some of the points from here, which will be helpful for you. Let's go to summary, section 5. This section contains a brief review of the causes of the accident and recommendation for corrective actions. In your review, it's important to include the language that contrasts the cost of accident with the benefit derived from investing in corrective actions. Including bottom line information will ensure that your recommendation will be understood and appreciable by management. Let's see a sample summary. Your summary look like this, and this is a format for the summary. Just put it here. Okay, it is time to take a review. Have a look on these questions. If you have any doubts, please go back and refer the video. And if you have any doubts, please come back to me. Please attend the multiple choice quiz and go to the next section. Step 4, the action plan and its implementation. Thank you. Hi, welcome back. Let's continue with our last session, step 4 of accident investigation procedure, the action plan and its implementation. In this session, we are going to learn about action plan deals effectively, lesson learned, provide feedback, review risk assessment and safe system of work, communicate result and action plan, ensure action plan implementation progress. Deal action plan effectively. At this stage in the investigation, senior management who have the authority to make a decision and act on a recommendation of the investigation team should be involved. An action plan for the implementation of additional risk control measures is desired outcome of a thorough investigation. The action plan should have a SMART objectives. This is SMART objective: specific, measurable, agreed, realistic, and time scale. When you're making the action plan should be SMART objective. Deciding where to intervene requires a good knowledge of organization and the way it's carried out its work. For the risk control measures proposed to be SMART, management, safety professionals, employees, and their representatives should all contribute to a constructive discussion on what should be the action plan. Not every risk control measures will be implemented, but the ones accorded the highest priority should be implemented immediately. In deciding your priorities, you should be guided by a magnitude of risk. You know well that risk is a combination of likelihood and severity of harm. Ask yourself what is essential to securing the health and safety of workplace today. What cannot be left until another day? How high is the risk of employees if this risk control measure is not implemented immediately? If the risk is high, you should act immediately. You will no doubt be subject to financial constraints, but failing to put in place a measure to control serious and imminent risk is totally unacceptable. You must either reduce the risk to an acceptable level or stop the work. For those risks that are not high and immediate, the risk control measures should be put into your action plan in order to priority. Each risk control measure should be assigned a time scale and a person made responsible for its implementation. It is crucial that a specific person, preferably a director, partner, or senior manager, is made responsible for ensuring that the action plan as a whole is put into effect. This person does not necessarily have to do the work him or herself, but he or she should monitor the progress of risk control action plan. Progress on action plan should be regularly reviewed. Any significant departures from the plan should be explained and risk control measure rescheduled. If appropriate, employees and their representatives should be kept fully informed of the risk control action plan and progress with its implementation. Let's talk about review of risk assessment and safe system of work. All relevant risk assessment and safe work procedures should be reviewed after the adverse event happen. The finding of your investigation should indicate area of your risk assessment that need to improve. It is important that a step back and ask what the finding of the investigation tell you about the risk assessment in general. Are they really suitable and sufficient? Failing to review the relevant risk assessment after the adverse event could mean that you are not following the regulation. Next, lesson learned. Lesson learned is a document, and this is one of the most important phases of incident reporting, recording, and investigation is action that is taken as a result. This is often published internally as lesson learned so that improvement can be made as a result of the incident, and so that the organization is seen to take such matters seriously. This should be carried out without breaching the confidentiality of the injured person. Providing feedback. Providing feedback to all parties involved to ensure the finding and recommendations are correct, address the issues, and are realistic. And it should be fed back into a review of risk assessment. Next, communicate the result and action plan. Communicate the result of investigation and action plan to everyone who needs to know. Include arrangements to ensure the action plan is implemented and progress monitored. The last 3 steps, though essential, are often overlooked, but without them, the full benefits of investigation will not be realized, and in long term, nothing will change. Ensure action plan implementation progress. And this is our last slide. Progress on action plan should be regularly reviewed. Any significant departure from the plan should be explained and risk control measure rescheduled if appropriate. Employees and their representatives should be kept fully informed of the content of risk control plan and progress with its implementation. With this, we are winding up, and this is our final session, and let's get the module quiz and go to the final quiz. If you have any doubts, please go back to the video and check. If you have any doubts about the training, you can call me, you can email me. I will be happy to help you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Take care.